What if everything you've been seeking, strength, clarity, purpose, has been within your grasp all along, waiting only for you to realize it? What if you discovered that by mastering just one thing, your own mind, you could transform not only your life, but also the lives of everyone around you? And what if the key to this transformation wasn't a secret, but a timeless philosophy, patiently passed down through centuries? Stoicism? If you wish to live as a Stoic, the first step is not external, it's internal. You must first come to terms with the truth. The only thing truly within your control is yourself. Your thoughts, your reactions, your habits, your impulses. Before you can help the world or uplift others, you must first help yourself by taking full command of your own mind. It begins with awareness of how you respond to both your inner chaos and external turbulence. Only when you master that, when your mind is no longer at the mercy of emotions or circumstances, can you walk the Stoic path. Only then can you begin the true journey to self-mastery. You are what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. And yet, you are not trapped, you are transformable. Within you lies the quiet yet immense power to reshape yourself, day by day. To learn, to rise, to refine who you are, not for the world's applause, but for your own virtue. Through the lens of Stoicism, you realize that greatness is not granted, it is earned through quiet focus, constant attention, and lifelong mindfulness. It's a journey that demands you to live not by fleeting moods, but by lasting principles, to grow, not when it's easy but especially when it's hard. Look around. Out of all the moments in time, you were chosen to be here, now. Isn't that something worth reflecting on? In the grand mosaic of existence, your life is not an accident. It is a rare alignment of fate and perseverance. You are the product of thousands of generations who fought, struggled, and endured to pass down the fire of life to you. That alone is sacred. This realization should ignite something in you, not pressure, but purpose. Life is a gift, one we often forget in the blur of our struggles. But Stoicism brings us back to the power of presence, back to the beauty of breathing, thinking, feeling, and loving despite the pain. Didn't get the results you wanted? Good. More fuel for your fire. Unexpected obstacle in your way? Good. Now you get to test your creativity and resilience. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. In those words lies the Stoic heartbeat. Life, with all its trials and triumphs, is not a burden, it is a battleground where we forge meaning. Each sunrise is another opportunity to shape your legacy, to live in such a way that would make your ancestors proud, and inspire those who will one day carry your name. It's easy to forget this when life feels heavy, but it's in those very moments, the pressure, the pain, the setback, that Stoicism burns brightest. A Stoic is not cold or emotionless. In fact, a Stoic feels deeply but chooses not to be ruled by those feelings. It's okay to hurt, it's okay to cry, but it's not okay to let sadness steer your ship. Let reason be the captain. By embracing the Stoic way, we begin to see time as the treasure it is. We learn to greet hardship not as punishment, but as training. We start to understand that every storm is a classroom and every failure a forge. We don't control the winds of fate, but we can always adjust our sails. So live not with fear, but with courage. Wield your greatest weapon, your mind, to carve a life guided by virtue, not reaction. And let the timeless wisdom of Stoicism illuminate your path. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, remember what you've already endured and how far you've come. We often underestimate just how much we've already endured. We forget the mental mountains we scaled, the emotional rivers we've crossed, and the quiet battles we've won that no one else even knew we were fighting. In doing so, we overlook something powerful: the strength it took to survive them. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to pause and reflect. Think of those moments when you were exhausted, overwhelmed, and ready to quit. When everything seemed stacked against you. And yet, you didn't break. You're still here, standing, enduring. Those moments were not just scars, they were evidence of your resilience. And now, when you face new challenges, don't see them as burdens. See them as chances to prove what you already know. You can endure. But the Stoics went further. They warned us of something far more dangerous than pain. Comfort. Living in constant ease doesn't make us happy. It makes us fragile. The more we avoid discomfort, the more control we surrender to the world. That's why the Stoic life is one of chosen hardship, not for suffering's sake, but for growth's sake. Because strength isn't something you're born with. It's built one challenge at a time. Just like muscles only grow when pushed to their limits, your mind, your confidence, and your emotional control all expand when they are tested by resistance. Each difficulty becomes the weight you lift. Each failure, a representative that builds character. Seneca said it best. Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. When life strikes you with hardship, don't see it as punishment. See it as a sculptor with a chisel, striking away the excess, revealing the true form beneath. With this mindset, even your darkest nights become training grounds. They teach you to be still, to be sharp, to be unwavering. That's what Stoicism gives you, a lens that turns adversity into alchemy. But there's another silent enemy to confront: the need for approval. How many actions have you taken or avoided not because it was right or wrong, but because of what others might think? In our chase to impress, we become performers. We wear masks. And in doing so, we step off the Stoic path. Because to seek validation from others is to hand them the strings to your life. And when you live like a puppet, swayed by the changing winds of opinion, you will never find peace, only exhaustion. The Stoics taught us this hard truth. Power comes from within, from loyalty to your own values, not from applause or judgment. The only person you're destined to become is the person you consciously choose to be. And that choice is made not in grand declarations, but in quiet, Everyday moments. When you skip the gym, it's not just a missed session, it's a vote for the type of person you are becoming. A vote for comfort, for avoidance, for weakness. But the Stoic sees deeper. The issue isn't missing one workout. It's the mindset that allowed it. The decision to let emotion override discipline. To let softness steer the wheel when resolve should be driving. That's why self-awareness is everything. Because every action you take is either strengthening your character or weakening it. And in today's world overflowing with distractions, noise, and demands, what you choose to focus on determines who you become. Epictetus said it plainly. You become what you give your attention to. In a world where everything is screaming for a piece of your mind, guarding your attention has become a survival skill. The Stoics, those great architects of mental clarity, understood this deeply. They knew that whatever holds your attention begins to shape your character. Whether it's the people you engage with, the ideas you entertain, or the activities you commit to, they all leave fingerprints on your soul. That's why they didn't waste their energy on trivial matters. They weren't seeking an easier life. They were seeking a stronger self. So when hardship knocked, they didn't ask, "Why me?" They asked, "What is the most virtuous response right now?" This isn't some cold, emotionless life philosophy. On the contrary, it's one of the most profound and liberating perspectives a person can adopt. To accept everything as neutral until you decide how to respond. Sadness, joy, pressure, ease, these were not good or bad by nature. What mattered was the action chosen in response. This is why a Stoic doesn't resist difficulty, he uses it. They lived by the rule. It does not matter what you bear. It only matters how you bear it. And that rule becomes powerful in times of stress. While society often teaches us that stress is a sign to retreat or pause, the Stoics saw it differently. They believed that stress is pressure and pressure creates greatness. Just as diamonds form beneath the crushing weight of the earth, character is sculpted under the weight of life's trials. Seneca said it beautifully. Just as a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor can a man be perfected without trials. So, when the world becomes heavy, the Stoic doesn't complain. He grows. He learns. He strengthens. Because ease may feel good, but only friction forges greatness. Now, focusing on yourself, your thoughts, your habits, your response isn't selfish, it's strategic clarity. Ask yourself honestly. If you constantly abandon your own well-being to chase validation from society, peers, or even family, who truly benefits? And do you ever feel fulfilled chasing everyone else's expectations? The Stoics didn't think so. They urge you to turn inward, not to isolate, but to anchor. Because when your mind is fortified, when your center is strong, you give more to the world, not less. We must always return to a simple Stoic truth. The external world is never truly ours. We may experience it, but we can never possess it. And so, rather than trying to control the chaos, we control how we meet it. We focus not on opinions or noise, but on building internal mastery where clarity, calm, and power take root. That mastery grows not in grand moments, but in quiet redirections like choosing not to engage in gossip, or stepping back from drama, or turning off distractions and tuning into your own truth. Whether it's a workplace confrontation or a painful relationship, your peace will not be found in controlling others, it will be found in controlling your focus. Do you notice how easily outside voices shake your confidence when your inner boundaries are weak? When your attention is fragmented, so is your identity. But when you stand rooted in your values, you become unshakable. This is the gift Stoicism offers. A mind that doesn't react to every wave because it's anchored to something deeper. And that brings us to a vital shift in this journey. What happens when you stop chasing approval and start standing firmly in your truth? Self-awareness and disciplined thought, these are the cornerstones of inner strength. Marcus Aurelius firmly believed that no matter how chaotic the world outside becomes, it can never shake a mind that is well trained and deeply rooted. To him, the well-defended mind is like a fortress, calm, grounded, and immune to the tempests of circumstance. Modern Stoic thinkers continue to echo this truth. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean tuning out the world, it means tuning into your higher nature. It means choosing, every single day, to cultivate your character rather than chasing recognition. To strengthen what's within, rather than scramble to control what's beyond. Because the moment you stop depending on others to define your worth, you step into your power. You begin to unlock the adaptability, the strength, and the transformation that only comes from within. But here's the question that Stoicism keeps bringing us back to. Are you willing to let go of the illusion that others control your destiny? Can you embrace the truth that your path is yours to walk unwavering, undistracted, and deliberate? This level of commitment to yourself, it's not loud. It's not flashy. It's a quiet revolution, but one powerful enough to set you free. Now ask yourself, when life tests you, where do you look first? If your first instinct is to blame someone or something outside of you, you lose a sacred opportunity. Because the Stoics believed adversity is a mirror, showing you exactly where your work remains. When hardships hit, don't just analyze the situation, analyze your response. What emotion rose first? What did it teach you about what's still unresolved inside? Adversity isn't just something to get through. It's a teacher, and it often reveals strength you didn't know you had. And when you commit to responding with virtue, whether that's courage, patience, compassion, or clarity, you win back control over your inner world. This shift in focus creates a quiet but powerful kind of freedom. No matter what life throws your way, you still choose your response. And that ability choice is where your true freedom lives. Modern Stoic voices have emphasized this again and again. If we don't cultivate the habit of looking inward, we risk blindly repeating old patterns. We stumble not because we are weak, but because we never stop long enough to learn. Each trial, each mistake, each emotional storm, it's an invitation. a chance to awaken dormant virtues, to sharpen the blade of resilience, to transform pain into purpose. Ask yourself, do you greet your struggles as doorways to strength, or do you run from the lessons they offer? Every time your attention drifts into gossip, comparison, or fear of judgment, you're handing over your power. But every time you catch yourself and redirect that energy inward, you reclaim it. And when you begin to act not from fear, but from alignment with who you truly are, something beautiful happens. Your inner self begins to blossom, no longer shackled by others' opinions or fleeting expectations. The Stoics were not blind to the importance of human connection. They believed deeply in bonds, in friendship, in community. But they warned, do not let these bonds become chains. As Seneca wrote, the strongest relationships arise when both individuals know themselves fully. When neither disappears in the crowd, nor isolates out of fear. To move confidently through this life, you need one thing more than all: self-trust. And self-trust is born from consistency, from aligning your actions with your deepest values. Again and again, especially when it's hard. If you don't trust your own inner compass, how easily will others lead you off course? But when you boldly stand in your truth, when you act from a place of principle, you generate something rare. A deep, radiant sense of purpose that doesn't waver with external praise or criticism. So now, the real question is this: will you let fear draw the borders of your life? Or will you choose to focus only on what you can grow, what you can master, what you alone were meant to cultivate? When you learn to turn inward and live from your true values, you don't just free yourself from the weight of others' expectations, you unlock something far greater: the power of emotional mastery. The Stoics taught us that emotions aren't enemies to be conquered. They are signals, messengers pointing us toward deeper truths about our inner world. What if anger, envy, or doubt weren't obstacles but invitations? Invitations to pause, reflect, and ask, why is this emotion here? What belief is fueling it? When we center ourselves mentally and emotionally, we gain the space to examine these emotions without judgment, without blame. We stop reacting blindly and start learning consciously. Frustration becomes a mirror. Doubt becomes a doorway. Even sadness becomes a light, revealing where we're still attached, afraid, or out of alignment. Modern Stoics remind us, emotions are data, and when we study them with patience, we grow not just in awareness but in emotional intelligence. This isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about translating them. Each one has a message, a lesson, a hidden roadmap. With practice, your inner world begins to shift. You feel yourself becoming calmer, wiser, and less thrown by external chaos. Have you ever asked yourself, why does this situation trigger me while others pass unnoticed? The answer, the Stoics say, lies in your perception, the stories you tell yourself, the beliefs you hold. And here's the beauty of that truth. If perception is the root of suffering, it's also the key to peace. That's why daily inner work is essential. Journaling, self-inquiry, even short moments of quiet reflection, these are tools of real transformation. They help you uncover hidden assumptions, reframe old narratives, and align your thoughts with your highest truth. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You are not powerless unless you choose to be. But you must guard the gates of your mind like a fortress. Because if you don't, the noise of the world will flood in. Are you ready to become the architect of your emotional landscape? Or will you leave the blueprint of your inner peace to chance? This is where discipline steps in, not as punishment, but as liberation. The Stoics didn't see discipline as harsh. They saw it as the highest form of freedom. Because when you live by principle, not by impulse, you free yourself from being controlled by fleeting emotions. Seneca would say, "Discipline isn't restriction, it is power." When you choose to focus on what matters, when you set boundaries to protect your time, your energy, and your attention, you gain control over your life. That's why modern Stoic voices urge us to create structures, routines, and mental habits that support peace. Discipline becomes the compass that keeps you on course, especially when the world tries to pull you in 100 different directions. Each morning, you're given a choice: to follow distraction or to follow direction. To let the world choose for you, or to design your own path. And it begins with the simple daily practices. A quiet moment of reflection. A reminder of your values. A decision to act, not react. Now ask yourself this: do you treat discipline like a chain? Or do you honor it as a guiding star pointing you toward the life you're truly meant to live? Because every step you take from this centered place strengthens not just your focus, but your sense of fulfillment. And here's something remarkable. When you shift your focus from what's missing to what you already have, everything changes. In a world that constantly tells us what we're missing, Stoicism invites us to see what we already have. Gratitude is not just a fleeting emotion. It's a sharpened perspective, a lens that reveals abundance in the everyday. When you choose to focus inward, your attention shifts. Suddenly, you start noticing the quiet power within you, your ability to think critically, to love deeply, to endure hardship with grace, and to learn from every experience. The modern Stoic mind reminds us, lasting peace doesn't come from controlling everything, it comes from appreciating what you already possess. And this appreciation isn't passive. It's active. It asks you to count your blessings, not just in moments of celebration, but in the very grind of daily life. Can you look at your routine, the chores, the setbacks, the monotony, and find the hidden wisdom wrapped inside? Gratitude, in this light, becomes a superpower. It transforms even the smallest task into an opportunity to practice presence, resilience, and humility. The Stoics taught that virtue is not dependent on circumstances, it's rooted in how we interpret and use our circumstances. That means peace isn't found by waiting for everything to align perfectly. It's found in aligning your perspective with what matters. It's found in asking, what can I learn from this moment? Instead of why is this happening to me? But here's the truth. Gratitude and mindfulness can't thrive in a distracted mind. Modern Stoics warn us that we live in a time where our greatest resource, attention, is constantly under attack. Every notification, every scroll, every comparison drains energy from your personal growth. Have you noticed how often you lose time to digital noise? How many precious hours are given away to mindless consumption instead of meaningful creation? The Stoics believed that life is short, and every day is a gift, one that either shapes our character or slips by unused. That's why vigilance over your attention is no longer optional, it's essential. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean shutting others out. It means understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. You must fill your spirit with clarity, wisdom, and intention so that you can give more, love deeper, and lead better. Reflect for a moment. Does your daily routine include space for nurturing your best self? Or has mindless scrolling become a subtle thief, quietly robbing you of your potential? The Stoics urge us to reclaim those hours, to treat each moment as an investment in our integrity and peace. And what about your conversations? Have you noticed how much energy is spent judging others, rather than reflecting on your own growth? The Stoics were clear. Gossip is poison, not because it damages the one being judged, but because it pollutes your own mind. It keeps you in a cycle of comparison, negativity, and distraction. As Epictetus advised, we should weigh our words as we weigh our thoughts. Are they building us up or scattering our energy into the void? When you center yourself, your dialogue changes. You begin to speak with care, with purpose. You ask better questions. You steer conversations toward wisdom, toward gratitude, toward ideas that uplift. Modern Stoics remind us, your words are mirrors of your inner climate. And if your heart is focused on virtue, your speech becomes a reflection of that virtue. Ask yourself, do your daily conversations align with the person you're trying to become? Or are they echo chambers of idle chatter that only distract from your deeper path? And perhaps, most profoundly, you must consider this. What is the difference between being alone and being in chosen solitude? The Stoics made this distinction clear. They taught that time spent alone, deliberate, intentional time, is not a sign of isolation, but a courageous act of self-connection. When we take the time to separate ourselves from the noise of the world, we are not retreating from life, we are stepping into the deepest encounter of all, meeting ourselves again in stillness. Solitude, in its purest form, isn't loneliness, it's liberation. It's the sacred pause that allows us to listen deeply, to tune into the quiet intuition that often gets drowned out by noise, obligations, and other people's expectations. In those rare, still moments when we're not performing, not reacting, not rushing, we become witnesses to our own thoughts. We begin to see clearly the patterns we've been repeating, the old beliefs we've outgrown, and the stories we've been telling ourselves. Solitude becomes a mirror and a sanctuary. It is both a space for honest inventory and a canvas for new possibilities. By embracing these intervals of introspection, we learn a powerful truth. We are never truly alone when we are at peace with ourselves. We discover that our own company, once feared or avoided, can actually be nourishing. So ask yourself, how might your life change if you treated solitude as a sacred appointment? Not something to be endured, but something to be honored as time reserved for realignment, self-renewal, and quiet strength. And in this sacred space, your inner voice becomes clearer. The Stoics taught us that our inner dialogue, those private thoughts we repeat every day, shape our entire experience. Marcus Aurelius advised beginning each day by examining our thoughts, asking, are these words aligned with courage, with virtue, with truth? Modern Stoic thinkers encourage intentional affirmations, not as hollow mantras, but as anchors that guide us toward the person we're striving to become. Words like I am responsible, I choose clarity, or I act with purpose. Over time, this practice literally reshapes your brain. It strengthens your resilience, calms your nervous system, and reduces the anxious fog that clouds good judgment. Ask yourself honestly, what words do I feed my mind in the morning? Do they sharpen me or drain me? Because your inner narrative is the lens through which you engage the world. And when you adjust that lens, everything begins to shift. Another timeless teaching from the Stoics: the present moment is all we truly own. How often do we get lost in regrets of yesterday or fears of tomorrow? Stoicism pulls us back again and again to the stage we're actually standing on, this breath, this step, this moment. Modern Stoics speak of mindful presence not as a luxury, but as a practice of power. To observe your thoughts without clinging. To feel your emotions without being ruled by them. To act with full attention and leave the outcome to nature. In this state of grounded awareness, something magical happens. Your past begins to heal. Your future becomes less overwhelming. And you start to see choices you never noticed before. Can you feel the quiet strength that lives inside this very moment? That's the power of showing up fully, without distraction, without control. Which brings us to a final lesson in this reflection: letting go of outcomes. The Stoics were clear: you control your actions, not their results. Focusing only on yourself means committing wholeheartedly to your intentions, while releasing the anxiety of what comes next. It means caring deeply about your effort, but not letting success or failure define your worth. Modern Stoics call this detached engagement. It's a way of living that blends dedication with peace. You work, you try, you give it your all, and then you release the outcome. And in doing so, you reclaim your serenity. You stop being pushed around by circumstances. You become rooted firm, steady, and composed. Every moment you live this way, you stitch another thread into the tapestry of your integrity. Life will always be unpredictable, no matter how carefully we plan or how purely we act. Outcomes can change in an instant, but that doesn't mean our effort is wasted. The Stoics remind us, You are not defined by what happens to you, but by how virtuously you respond. Every single day, you have a new opportunity to practice this principle. You have a chance to remind yourself that real success is measured not by applause, wealth, or praise, but by the integrity and sincerity you bring to your actions. Can you let go of needing to control the fruit, and instead focus on tending the soil beneath your feet? Even the mightiest oak begins as a tiny acorn buried in darkness. In the same way, small victories, repeated daily, create massive transformations over time. The Stoics believed in the power of consistent, intentional action no matter how small. Modern Stoics echo this, urging us to view every moment as a sculptor's strike against marble. Choosing patience in traffic. Remaining calm during a heated conversation. Resisting the urge to complain. These are not trivial acts. They are character-building choices. And over time, they add up. It's not the grand achievements that shape who you are, it's the rhythm of your repeated effort. The quiet, often unseen devotion to your values, day in and day out. This is why the Stoics celebrated progress, no matter how modest, because it's not about perfection. It's about movement forward, steady, committed. Will you honor these small steps? Will you trust that each one is paving the way toward a future built not on doubt, but on inner strength? And what about when life strikes hard? When you lose something or someone you didn't think you could live without? When everything feels like it's falling apart? The Stoics anticipated this. They knew that change, loss, and disappointment are not if they are when. This is where the principle of impermanence becomes your shield. If you build your identity only on things that fade, status, relationships, possessions, then when they disappear, so do you. But if your roots go inward, into your own values and self-understanding, no storm can uproot you. This isn't a call to detach from love. It's a reminder to love wisely, to cherish deeply, without clinging, to grieve, without being shattered. Because when tragedy comes, your mind, fortified and centered, remains unbroken. This is the Stoic strength, resilience, not resistance. Can you cultivate this internal foundation now, before life tests it? And as we talk about building inner strength, we cannot ignore the vessel that carries us through life, the body. The Stoics taught that the mind and body are intertwined. Without a healthy body, how can the mind think clearly? Without rest, how can you reflect? Without nourishment, how can you show up with strength? Modern Stoics emphasize physical care as an expression of self-respect. Not vanity, not obsession, but a commitment to honoring the body as the servant of your reason, your will, your purpose. When you sleep well, eat clean, move daily, you are aligning your external habits with your internal values. You are saying, I matter enough to care for myself. And that alignment between what you believe and how you live is the root of self-trust. So, are you tending to your physical health with the same discipline and reverence you give your thoughts? Your body is not separate from your growth, it is your partner on this journey. It is time to turn your gaze inward toward the mind, where every desire, reaction, and stream of spiritual energy is born. Have you ever asked yourself what the Stoics might say about chasing dreams and ambitions? They would likely remind us that while it's important to hold a vision for the future, the true weight of any dream lies in what you do today. It is not the idea that changes you, it is the disciplined action that gives the dream a backbone. Modern Stoics don't tell us to stop dreaming. Instead, they tell us to anchor those dreams in reality. Brick by brick, moment by moment, let your imagination inspire you. Yes, but let your steps define you. Every skill you sharpen, every task you complete, every habit you maintain, it all becomes a bridge between who you are and who you hope to become. Ask yourself, will I continue to let my aspirations float in the clouds? Or will I ground them in the fertile soil of daily effort, even when no one is watching? And what about when others doubt us? When their criticism stings, or their disapproval shakes our confidence? The Stoics would counsel us to take a deep breath and remember, their opinions lie outside our control. They are wind on the surface of the sea, we need not be tossed by every breeze. Instead, anchor inward, listen, evaluate, extract what is useful, and discard the rest without bitterness or pride. Modern Stoic thinkers emphasize that this calm, measured response comes not from arrogance but from clarity of self. When you know who you are, critiques do not bruise your core. They become mirrors, sometimes helpful, sometimes cracked but never definitive. Will you embrace this Stoic inner poise the next time the world offers its opinions unasked? Now consider this. How often do we stretch ourselves thin in a frantic attempt to do more? Be more, prove more? How many tabs do you have open in your mind right now? The Stoics would likely challenge us to return to one thing. One priority, one task, one focus. They would say, multitasking is an illusion of productivity. True progress comes from deliberate presence. Modern Stoicism echoes this truth. The constant switching of attention fragments the mind. You become scattered, your energy leaks. But when you choose intentionally to give your full attention to a single meaningful endeavor, you begin to reclaim mastery. You feel calmer, clearer, and more fulfilled. Your work deepens, your mind strengthens. Will you continue dividing your energy into thin strands, or will you weave it into a single, unbreakable cord? Finally, let's speak of one of the most draining forces known to us, resentment. The Stoics believed that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Every moment you dwell in bitterness, you hand over your power. You become tethered mentally and emotionally to the very person or event you claim to reject. But when you focus on yourself, you break that chain. You turn your gaze away from vengeance and toward virtue. What if that same energy you spent stewing in old wounds was redirected into building something new? Something noble? What would happen if you released the need for retribution and instead built resilience? To channel your inner strength toward real self-transformation, you must first let go of the emotional weights that quietly wear you down. Modern Stoics often say that holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. It doesn't damage the other person, it quietly destroys your clarity, your energy, your peace. But when you release resentment not by forgetting injustice, but by choosing forward-focused action over emotional chains, you reclaim your power. You reclaim yourself. This does not mean tolerating mistreatment. It means responding to it not with bitterness, but with resolve. Instead of living in reaction, you begin living in creation, crafting a new chapter not defined by wounds, but by wisdom. Can you imagine how freeing it would feel to wake up each day without the weight of past bitterness pulling at your spirit? What could you build with that reclaimed energy? Now, let's be honest, focusing on yourself can feel lonely at times. When you begin to remove the noise, to distance yourself from shallow distractions or draining crowds, an eerie silence may creep in. But the Stoics didn't fear solitude. They embraced it as sacred space, a forge where the true self is molded. In that stillness, you begin to hear the soft voice of your intuition, the one drowned out by the chaos of the world. You start to develop a genuine companionship with your inner being, one not dependent on others for validation or identity. This bond with yourself creates a deep sense of stability. It's no longer about who stays or leaves your life, it's about the values that stay with you no matter what. And with time, this solitude becomes your sanctuary, not your prison. You begin to realize that true belonging starts with belonging to yourself. So the question is, will you walk that quiet path, trusting that it leads not to loneliness, but to alignment? Next, ask yourself, whose voices do you allow into your mind? We are shaped not just by what we think, but by what we consume online, in books, in conversation. The Stoics warned us not to allow just any philosophy, any trend, or any loud opinion to mold our worldview. Modern Stoics echo that truth today. You must actively curate your influences. Choose teachers and messages that uphold virtue, clarity, and reason. Feed your mind with thoughts that nourish, not deplete. And set firm boundaries around your mental space, because not every voice deserves to enter your internal sanctuary. Will you continue to let random opinions shape your perspective? Or will you stand guard, letting in only those who help you grow? And finally, reflect on this. Self-mastery is not a mountain you climb once, it's a path you return to every single day. The Stoics understood that becoming your highest self is not about one moment of enlightenment, it's about the rhythm of daily repetition. Some days you'll stumble, other days you'll rise with clarity. But every day is a new chance to realign, to recommit, to begin again. Modern Stoic thinkers encourage us to see progress not as a straight line, but as a cycle. Each sunrise gives you the gift of reset. Each nightfall gives you time to reflect and recalibrate. So, the true beauty of this journey lies not in perfection, but in your willingness to continue, to show up, to refine, to grow. When you understand that the journey of self-discipline is not a destination but a process repeated every day, you begin to see life not through the lens of pressure, but as an opportunity to renew yourself. Are you willing to see this path, this quiet, Unwavering commitment to focusing on yourself not as a quick fix, but as a story still unfolding, authored moment by moment with every breath you take. Have you taken a pause lately and asked, do I feel more centered? More awake? More capable of meeting life's chaos with calm clarity? If even a small part of this journey has sparked something in you, a moment of stillness, a flash of insight, a return to your center, then you're already walking the Stoic path. The ancient Stoics and modern voices alike agree. Focusing on yourself is not about rejecting the world. It's about standing firm as you face it, meeting each situation, each challenge, each joy, from a grounded place of inner sovereignty. Every moment, whether filled with joy or shadowed by trial, is an invitation to return not outward, but inward, to choose response over reaction, to trust that your internal compass, aligned with reason and virtue, is your truest guide. And when you live from that place, mornings come with quiet resolve, and nights end with gratitude. Even the most ordinary days carry a sacred rhythm, one that whispers, "You are enough, keep going." This, in essence, is what it means to focus on yourself, not as a retreat from life, but as a bold affirmation of your presence in it. You become an active participant in the shaping of your own destiny, one choice at a time. Are you ready to lean into this moment, this breath, this choice, and begin again? Because at the heart of every Stoic teaching is a single, timeless truth. Your life is shaped by what you choose to focus on. Your mind, your responses, your values, you. Whether guided by Marcus Aurelius's gentle morning meditations or by modern thinkers reviving ancient wisdom, one truth holds steady: serenity and strength grow only from within. And that act of turning inward, of choosing silence over noise, clarity over confusion, and principle over popularity, that is not selfish. It's courageous. It's necessary. Each time you return to your inner fortress, you rebuild it stronger with patience, with humility, with unwavering discipline. Eventually, what once felt like effort becomes your second nature. You walk not above others, but beside them, with compassion and confidence that doesn't waver with circumstance. And as you begin to trust this voice within your own voice, unfiltered, unburdened, and authentic, you'll feel something shift. That's the Stoic awakening, a silent strength rising within, a knowing that no matter what the world throws at you, your soul remains untouchable. You don't need the approval of others to validate your path. You only need the courage to stay on it. When you've learned to hear the deep voice within your heart and know how to return to your inner self amid the noise of the world, you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. That is the power Stoicism helps you awaken. Can anyone truly replicate the quiet confidence of someone fully at peace with their own mind? The modern Stoics would say yes, but only through consistent inner work and honest self-inquiry. In a world that shifts by the hour, where opinions roar and distractions multiply, this timeless wisdom becomes not just relevant, it becomes essential. It acts as your internal compass, keeping you steady when life's waves rise high and threaten to pull you under. Embrace that compass, let it guide your choices, sharpen your attention, and expand your awareness. With each deliberate step, with each moment of thoughtful reflection, you are not just living, you are crafting a life grounded in self-mastery. And that kind of life radiates something rare, a blend of courage and compassion, strength and stillness. Are you willing to let that resonance lead you forward to heights you hadn't yet imagined? To depths of clarity you hadn't thought possible? As you step away from this reflection on the Stoic path of self-focus, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what will I carry forward from this? Maybe it's a renewed commitment to journaling each morning, or a quiet vow to meet adversity not with resistance, but with respect as a mentor in disguise. Maybe it's a fresh awareness that no feeling, no failure, no storm is greater than the person you are becoming. Because ultimately, this isn't about memorizing quotes or clinging to ancient doctrine. This is about integration. Let the principles of Stoicism live in your breath, your routines, your reactions, your words. Let them take root not just in theory but in practice woven through your relationships, your moments of doubt, your daily disciplines. That is how wisdom becomes yours. That is how you embody the clarity that others are searching for. And when you do, you become more than a follower of Stoic thought. You become a living proof of its power, a quiet force in a noisy world. You'll find that people begin to feel your presence before you speak. They'll sense that you're centered, grounded not because you're emotionless, but because you've learned how to lead yourself through emotion with grace. The ancient Stoics, and those who carry their torch today, would smile at each step you take toward genuine self-possession, because the path of focusing on yourself isn't lonely. It isn't selfish, it's sacred, it's the path to wholeness. Let your life stand as evidence that a soul aligned with itself can move mountains with stillness. That self-mastery isn't about control but about choosing, again and again, to live with unwavering truth. So, ask yourself, are you ready to carry this fire into the next chapter? Let these final words ignite your ascent forward with grace, guided by the enduring light of your own soul. If this journey through Stoic self-mastery stirred something within you, don't let it fade into the background noise of your day. Let it live in your choices. Let it echo in your discipline. And if you found clarity, strength, or even just a spark of inspiration here, imagine what we can build together. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. Follow for more grounded wisdom that helps you rise, not just survive. Because your journey doesn't end here, it's just beginning. Let's walk this path of inner power, side by side,